Part 100. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanba. Chapter 991. There are rugged rocks ahead, and they are all made of spirit stones. Everything in the world has spirits, and it is very common for stones to turn into spirits. I thought for a while and asked, then we can't go this way. Is there any other way? The little female ghost heard my question, then raised her head and said with a cute expression on her face, it seems not. I smiled and said, then we can only take risks. There is only one road in the direction Feng Chai points. There is no other way, so we can only take risks. We followed the mountain path and came to a canyon. There are rugged rocks on both sides of the canyon, and there is a very wide stream in the middle. The bottom of the stream is full of strange-shaped rocks. The moonlight poured down and sprinkled on the water, coating the water with a layer of silvery white. I didn't feel any ghostly presence. However, the little female ghost lives here, so I have to believe her words. Thinking of this, I turned around and said, everyone, be careful. Everyone nodded. The direction Feng Chai pointed was to the right side of the stream. We stepped on the path beside the stream and headed straight forward. There was nothing unusual at first, but when we reached the middle of the stream, a huge sound suddenly came from the mountains on both sides of the canyon. I stopped and looked towards both sides of the canyon. The huge rocks standing on the mountains on both sides of the canyon began to shake violently one by one. My face froze and I shouted loudly, "Let's run!" As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of the boulders shaking became louder and louder. Immediately afterwards, countless boulders rolled down from the mountains on both sides of the canyon. Boom! A huge sound lingered in my ears. The rolling boulders overwhelmed countless vegetation. In an instant, smoke and dust rose everywhere, covering the sky and the sun. Taking this path is undoubtedly a wrong choice. However, we have no other choice. If you don't take this road, you won't be able to find Xiangyi. Huge rocks were hitting us like dense raindrops. The scene in front of me felt like a catapult attack between two armies in an ancient military movie. In the blink of an eye, those huge rocks were already in front of us. We can only keep dodging. If it is hit, you will either die or be injured. After hiding for a while, I found that the number of these stones had not decreased at all. I looked at Su Tianxian and shouted at her, "Tianxian! We can't continue like this. If these stones don't stop rolling, sooner or later we will be exhausted, and then we will be in trouble." Su Tianxian thought for a moment and said, "These stones have become spirits and have their own consciousness. We must find a way to eliminate them." I suddenly thought of a countermeasure, and I directly used Nine Eyes' heavenly domain. A dark barrier appeared out of thin air, enveloping us all. I did not maximize the scope of the Nine Eyes heaven realm. It also allows us to move here. Those boulders hit the black barrier of the Nine Eyes sky territory hard. Although the boulder's force is large, it cannot cause any damage to the black barrier. Soon we were overwhelmed by countless boulders. We seemed to be diving into the bottom of the sea at this moment, with sea water in all directions, and the Nine Eyes sky realm is a submarine. Xiao He said with a big mouth and said, "These stone spirits are really difficult to deal with." I nodded and looked around. The moonlight filtered in through the cracks in the stones. "Tianxian, what should we do?" Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanba. Chapter 992. Su Tianxian thought for a moment and said, "Try whether karma fire can destroy these stone spirits." I was stunned. Yes. Why didn't I think of using karma fire? Karmic fire is very lethal to both ghosts and spirits. The people blocking the Nine Eyes heaven realm are all stone spirits, and the karmic fire should be able to cause great damage to them. Thinking of this, I summoned the karma fire, and the crimson flame beat in the palm of my hand. I slowly threw out this ball of flame. A gap appeared in the Nine Eyes heaven realm, and the karma fire floated straight towards the gap. When the karmic fire touched those stones, the fire instantly became stronger and spread towards the surrounding areas with the force of a prairie fire. In the blink of an eye, everywhere he looked was a sea of crimson fire. Ah! The sound of miserable howls echoed in my ears one after another. These stones have become spirits, but they do not have the ability to transform. If he could transform, the situation would be very bad. The fire of karma burned for 3 full minutes. 3 minutes later, those stone spirits were gone. I take back the 9 eyes heaven realm and the fire of karma. There were no shadows of boulders around, and it was as quiet as if nothing happened. Let's go, I said to Su Tianxian and others. Everyone agreed and continued to move forward, but after taking a few steps, the moonlight above their heads was suddenly blocked, and the surroundings fell into darkness. I was stunned for a moment and looked up. It didn't matter what I saw. I was stunned in place for a moment. I saw a huge stone above our heads. The stone is very large, and stone can no longer be used to describe him. It should be said to be a giant hill. This hill exudes a suffocating yin energy. Moreover, the sound of howling ghosts could be heard from time to time. I frowned, and the next moment, I saw countless black shadows jumping down from the hill. I took a closer look and saw one fierce ghost after another. At the same time, the hill began to fall rapidly. If this was pressed, it would probably turn into a meat pie. This scene reminded me of Tarzan's soul. By some strange mistake, I took out the soul of Mount Tai and threw it directly into the air. The soul of Taishan instantly grew larger in the air. And the descending hill was instantly blocked. Seeing that the hill was blocked, I looked happy and called on everyone to escape from the bottom of the hill. We ran far away, and countless ghosts rushed towards us. We use our tactics to deal with them. After a while, these evil spirits were wiped out by us. I looked at the soul of Mount Tai and the hill. The hills are stacked on the soul of Mount Tai, unable to descend even 1 inch. As I looked at the hill, an idea crept in. If every mountain has a mountain god, then Bamang Mountain must also have one. There is not only a mountain god but also a mountain soul. Bamang Mountain is located on the Dragon Vein, and the mountain gods and mountain spirits here must be extremely powerful. But this idea has little bearing on what we are experiencing now. I don't know if I will meet you again in the future. I stretched out my right hand to control the soul of Mount Tai. Taishan's soul exuded an awe-inspiring righteousness, directly knocking the hill back. Like a mouse meeting a cat, the hill quickly shrank and turned into a small pebble heading towards the mountain. How could I have let it escape? I used 9 eyes heaven realm and instantly disappeared from the spot. When I reappeared, I was already at the place where the pebble disappeared. I looked around and found the pebble. I summoned my heart sword and slashed at the pebble. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 993. But at this moment, a childish voice suddenly sounded in my ears. No, no, no. I was wrong. I was wrong. Don't kill me. I was stunned for a moment and looked at the pebble on the ground. Was it talking just now? I reached out my hand, picked up the pebble on the ground, and looked at it carefully. It's not unusual for me to see stones turn into spirits. I was surprised that stones can talk. Because the spirit speaks human words, it means that he is not far from transforming. Give me a reason not to kill you. I asked tentatively towards the stone. Then, the voice came again. Brother. I am the mountain soul of Baman Mountain. As long as you don't kill me, I will let you walk sideways in Baman Mountain. The mountain soul of Bamang Mountain. Before, I was still wondering whether there would be a mountain soul in Bamang Mountain. I never thought that I would meet him so easily. But, the mountain soul of Bamang Mountain is just a small stone? Are you telling the truth? Xiao Shitu said quickly, it's true. It's true. I'm going to lie to you and strike 5 thunderbolts from the sky. I thought for a moment and said, okay. I will believe you just once. As I said that, I put the small stone into my pocket. Brother. Brother. What are you doing? Didn't you say let me go? Let you go? What you want is beautiful. How could I let something so precious go? The existence form of the mountain soul is the same as the soul of Mount Tai. However, the soul of Tarzan has no consciousness of its own. I can't figure out what's going on. I returned to Su Tianqian. How about it? Su Tianqian asked. I took the small stone out of my pocket and said, this stone says it is a mountain soul. I don't know whether it is true or not. Su Tianqian glanced at the little stone indifferently, was slightly startled, and then said, keep it, maybe it will help us. I nodded and was about to put the stone in my pocket. The childish voice came again. I know what you want to do. I can help you. But you have to let me go after you achieve your goal. I was stunned. This mountain soul really knows how to negotiate terms. Tell me, what are we going to do? Xiao Shitu was silent for a moment and replied, don't you just want to save those Yin soldiers? But it's not that easy to save them. How did you know? I frowned. He Xiao Shitu smiled proudly, I have noticed you since you stepped into Baman Mountain. Isn't it easy to know your purpose? I was stunned for a moment, but then I thought about it. As a mountain soul, it should be very easy for me to know everything that happens in this mountain. Stop talking nonsense. Tell me. What can you do? Then you have to let me go first. I narrowed my eyes and looked at the small stone in my hand with disdain. Do you think you have room to negotiate with me? The little stone didn't seem to realize the environment it was in. You can't do this. Stop talking nonsense and tell me, what can you do? Under my coercion and inducement, Xiao Shitu said bitterly, hey, if I had known better, I wouldn't have attacked you. The Yin soldiers you mentioned are now trapped at the Emperor's tomb. Where is the Emperor's tomb? All the great ones are buried there. The Yin soldiers guarding it alone will make you drink a pot. Xiang Yi is trapped in the Emperor's tomb. This matter is indeed a bit tricky. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 994. The imperial mausoleums in Bamang Mountain mainly contain the imperial mausoleums of the Eastern Han Dynasty, Cao Wei Dynasty, Western Jin Dynasty and Northern Wei Dynasty and their accompanying tombs. There are even 24 emperors from 6 generations buried here, which are densely distributed, numerous, and lasted for many years. If Xiang Yi is really trapped in the emperor's tomb, it will be difficult to rescue him. Because, I don't know if the sleeping emperor will be awakened in the process of rescuing Xiang Yi. After the death of some emperors, their souls would be reincarnated and even granted the status of gods. But some emperors' souls still remain in the world, sleeping in unknown underground places. I regret a little, I might as well bring Su Fu. After all, Su Fu is well informed and should not be allowed to stay in Ji Yuntang. But it's too late to say anything now, let's find a way to rescue Xiang Yi. Xiao Shitu said again, but, I have a way. I can take you to find the mountain god, and let the mountain god go to the emperor's mausoleum with you. After all, the Baman Mountain now is not the Baman Mountain before. It is impossible for the mountain gods here to know that such a change has occurred in Bamang Mountain. In a sense, Zhang Yucheng's behavior will definitely destroy the balance here. Having more helpers can also increase your chances of winning. Thinking of this, I said to Xiao Shitu, then take us to find the mountain god now. Xiao Shitu agreed. At this moment, a sharp pain suddenly came from the palm of my right hand. I quickly opened my palms and saw that the ghost marks were slowly disappearing. Oops, Xiangyi can't hold on any longer. There's no hurry. I said to several people, Xiangyi's side probably won't be able to hold on for long. In this way, we will divide our troops into two groups. Tianqian and I will go to the emperor's tomb, and the rest of you will go to the mountain god. If you go to find the mountain god, you will definitely be delayed for a long time. I'm afraid Xiangyi won't be able to hold on. After hearing this, Mu Qing offered to go to the emperor's tomb with us. I refused without thinking. No, you should go with them to find the mountain god. After all, this little stone needs someone to look after it. This mountain soul is always thinking about how to escape. If he didn't have strong strength to intimidate him, he would definitely seize the opportunity and run away. Xiao He said weakly, actually, I can look at it. I rolled my eyes and said, it's just you, forget it, I still believe in Mu Qing. Xiao He is often unreliable. As the daughter of Emperor Fengdu, Mu Qing is naturally powerful. I saw that Mu Qing was still thinking, so I handed her the small stone in my hand. There's no hurry, this is the only thing we can do. Mu Qing nodded and took the stone. Then we divided into two groups. Su Tianqian and I went to the emperor's mausoleum, while Mu Qing, Xiao He and Cai Dai went to look for him. The small stone has pointed out to us the place where Xiangyi is trapped. So there is no need for Feng Chai to lead the way. Su Tianqian and I sped up and rushed towards the emperor's mausoleum. Soon, we came to the emperor's tomb. Looking around, there are only a few scrawled tombstones. Su Tianqian said to me, those emperors' tombs will not easily expose their tombs to the world. Indeed, if the real location of their tombs were known to the world, they would have been stolen by tomb robbers. Su Tianqian looked up at the sky, and then looked at the direction of the mountains. Finally, he pointed in a direction and said, where should be the entrance to the tombs? I nodded. There are many tombs in the imperial mausoleums, such as the tombs of the Western Zhou dynasty. The emperors of the Western Zhou dynasty will be buried in this area. The same goes for others. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 995. Su Tianqian and I came to the place she just pointed to. Here is a small mound with a meandering stream next to it. The water in the stream is very clear, reflecting the bright moonlight. Tianqian, where is the entrance? Su Tianqian looked at me, raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and said, tell me, where is the entrance? I couldn't help but smile. Su Tianqian wanted to test me. This reminds me of helping Xia 11 visit her ancestral graves. Time flies, half a year has passed, and I don't know how Xia 11 is doing now. I haven't seen her since Muang Reservoir. But thinking about it, being able to integrate into normal life is also a good thing for Xia 11. I looked around, and the mountains of Bamang Mountain were winding and winding, like a giant dragon standing between heaven and earth. There is no doubt that Bamang Mountain is the dragon vein, but there are also essences in the dragon vein. The highlight is the entrance to the tombs. At this time, I suddenly found that the scattered moonlight was converging in one place. This place is right in the stream. This is Kanglong Hanzu. I pointed to the stream and said, the entrance is over there. Su Tianqian looked in the direction I pointed, then smiled brightly and said, that's right. She was already good looking, and with such a smile, she was even more charming. Su Tianqian saw me staring at her face, her cheeks turned slightly red, then she coughed softly and said, let's go. I came to my senses and nodded towards her. Then the two of us came to the stream. The stream is not deep and can reach up to the knees. I rolled up my trousers, and Su Tianqian wanted to do the same, so I quickly said, I'll help you. Without waiting for Su Tianqian to refuse, I squatted in front of her and rolled up her trousers. All right. At this time, I suddenly remembered something. That's something Su Tianqian can't touch these days. Although Su Tianqian didn't say it clearly in front of me, and when she came there, it was the same as usual. But there was one very small detail that caught my eye. That is, she will ask me to make some warm-up food these days. She is an out-and-out foodie. When I was at Ji Yuntang, I would always try different ways to cook it for her. Tianqian, why don't you go into the water? This stream is extremely icy. Su Tianqian looked at me doubtfully and asked, why? I scratched my head in embarrassment and said, you are inconvenient these 2 days. As soon as these words came out, Su Tianxuan's face instantly turned red to the roots of his ears. How did you know? Su Tianqian murmured softly, his eyes constantly dodging. I smiled and said, I already knew that. The entrance to the tombs is indeed in the stream, but I infer that it should be a mechanism. The real entrance cannot be under the stream. If the real entrance is under the stream, wouldn't the tombs become a reservoir? Su Tianqian nodded slightly and said softly, then I will watch you from the shore. I said apologetically, Tianqian, I'm sorry, I asked you to come here because you are not feeling well. Su Tianqian shook his head and said, I'm fine. Could it be that in your heart, I'm so weak? I smiled, said nothing, got into the water, and then looked up at the sky. Although the moonlight is scattered in all directions, if you look carefully you will find that, the moonlight is all concentrated in one place. I looked towards the moonlight in the stream. I saw a carp swimming slowly in that place. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 996. The carp is not big, but its whole body exudes crystal light. Isn't this carp the entrance to the tomb group? Thinking of this, I stretched out my hand and caught the carp. It didn't escape or struggle, which puzzled me. I went ashore and showed Su Tianqian the carp in my hand. This carp is like a dead fish, motionless. Su Tianqian took a look and said, this should be the key to the entrance to the tombs. Key? I was filled with doubts. Su Tianqian explained, this is not a real fish, it is made of bronze and secret techniques. I looked at the carp in my hand with some surprise. Is this made of bronze? It looks exactly like the real thing. Tianqian, how should we activate the entrance to the tombs? Su Tianqian pondered for a moment and said, kill this bronze fish and put its blood in the stream. I nodded, summoned the heart sword, and cut off the head of the bronze fish. After cutting off the bronze fish head, I realized that the carp was actually made of bronze. The body of the bronze fish is empty inside. And it contains a lot of blood. The reason why the bronze fish looks like a real carp is because of the scales attached to its surface. The blood contained in the bronze fish slowly merged with the stream, and then, a surprising scene happened. The entire stream of news receded at a speed visible to the naked eye. Finally it dries up and bottoms out. Su Tianqian stood up and said to me, you can find the entrance to the tombs by walking along the river. I nodded, and then the two of us walked along the river. The river is winding, and the terrain is stable at first, but after walking for a while, the terrain of the river begins to go downwards. After walking for about 5 minutes, we arrived at the end of the stream. At this moment we are already 7 or 8 meters away from the ground. The entire river is like a deep canyon. And in front of me, a huge stone door appeared. I stretched out my hand and pushed, but the stone door didn't move at all. Use your purple energy. Su Tianqian said. I mobilized the purple energy in my body, and a faint purple glow enveloped my hands. I took a deep breath and pushed open the stone door. A cold air came out of the door. The bone-chilling cold alerted me. A deep tomb passage came into view. Su Tianqian and I looked at each other and walked into it. The tomb passage goes straight forward, so deep that there is no end in sight. I don't know how long I walked, but another stone door appeared in front of me. Su Tianqian and I tried every means but could not open it. Just when I was at a loss, Su Tianqian pointed in one direction and said, "Xiao Su, look over there." I was stunned and looked in the direction Su Tianqian pointed. I saw a hole as tall as a person appearing on one side of the stone gate. It seems that this robbery hole was dug by the tomb robbers who came here. Su Tianqian and I went straight forward along the robbery hole without any hesitation. As I was walking, I seemed to step on something, so I looked down. I saw a white foot bone appearing under my feet. I frowned and looked up along the bones of my feet. I saw a human-shaped white skeleton lying quietly beside the tomb passage. I knelt down and looked carefully at the bones. A black bite mark appeared on Baigu's neck. This bite mark is like being bitten by some wild beast. Is it possible that there are large beasts in this tomb group? Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanbao. Chapter 997. Su Tianqian also came over, took a look at the wound on the human bone's neck, and frowned. This is not a beast, but a zombie. Zombies. It is also common to see zombies in graves. After all, the records in those tomb robbing movies, TV shows, and novels are not groundless. Su Tianqian squatted down next to the human bones, groped on the ground, and then found a compass. Seeing this compass, I instantly knew the true identity of the human bones. Grave robber. Su Tianqian and I didn't stay here for too long and continued walking along the robber's cave. It seems like a lot of time was spent digging this cave. Some thieves can only crawl forward through the cave, but the one in front of them is completely a passage. Even two people standing side by side can pass through with ease. However, I am a little curious as to why those tomb robbers would repair such a robber hole. Could it be that some large object needs to be transported out? As they walked, Su Tianqian in front stopped. I poked my head out from her shoulder and looked forward. I saw that the thief cave had reached the end, and a big hole appeared directly in front. It seems that this robbery hole is directly above the tomb. Tianqian. I turned my head subconsciously, but I forgot where I was now. I poked my head out from Su Tianxian's shoulder, which meant that my chin was only 3 or 4 centimeters away from Su Tianxian's shoulder. Su Tianqian also turned around when she heard me calling her. We both turned around at the same time, our noses touching. Su Tianqian was stunned, her beautiful eyes waiting for mine. Our eyes met, and I saw panic in Su Tianxian's beautiful eyes. She backed away repeatedly. I also distanced myself from him and coughed awkwardly. That Tianqian, how should we get down? Such close contact made my heart beat wildly. Su Tianqian was not much better, with 2 blushes on her fair little face. Her beautiful eyes glanced at me from time to time, and then she quickly looked away shyly. I don't know either. Su Tianqian muttered softly. I took a deep breath and calmed my restless heart. I lay down at the entrance of the cave and looked down. It was pitch black down below, but my eyes had adjusted to various levels of darkness. I could vaguely see the outline of a coffin. Whose tomb could this be? Thinking of this, I turned around and said to Su Tianqian, "Tianqian, I will go down first to explore the situation, and then you go down." Su Tianqian was stunned and immediately refused. "I don't want it. I want to go down together." Seeing that Su Tianqian was so determined, I didn't say anything else. The distance between the robbery hole and the floor of the tomb should be more than 10 meters. If you jump from such a height, you will definitely get injured. Therefore, I chose to use Nine Eyes' heavenly domain. I gently held Su Tianxian's jade hand, but she didn't struggle. Immediately afterwards, I used Nine Eyes' heavenly domain and disappeared instantly in one breath. When he appeared again, he was already in the tomb. I looked around and became alert instantly. Because there were 7 or 8 figures standing in the darkness. Just at this time, a gust of cold wind blew through, and the torches hanging on the wall suddenly lit up. The torches emitted a faint green light, making the entire tomb look extremely strange. With these green lights, I could clearly see the figure. Those were not living people, but 8 tomb servants. The tomb servant is in the shape of a general, and the carvings are lifelike and very expressive. I was just about to turn my head when, out of the corner of my eye, I suddenly noticed a tomb servant's eyes suddenly moving. Sky Coffin. Author, Ching Nian Wanbao. Chapter 998. I looked at the tomb servant with a stern expression. The tomb servant stood quietly without any movement. Did I see it wrong? Obviously not. Su Tianqian asked, Xiao Su, what's wrong? I shook my head and said, it's okay. I looked at the coffin placed in the middle of the tomb. The coffin is all golden, as if it is made of gold, and lifelike black dragons are carved on both sides of the coffin. It can be seen that the identity of the tomb owner is definitely not simple. There are countless tombs in the entire tomb group, and the tomb we are in is one of them. Shashasha. There was a sudden strange sound in my ears. I turned around sharply and saw nothing. But I noticed that the positions of the 8 tomb servants seemed to have shifted. No, it should be said that the 8 tomb servants were getting closer to me and Su Tianqian. Obviously, Su Tianqian also discovered this strangeness. The two of us looked at each other, turned around, and looked at the dragon coffin in front of us in silence. At this moment, the rustling sound came again. My expression condensed, I stretched out my right hand, held it in the air, and Jingxiao was held in my hand. I turned around at a very fast speed, raised the Jingxiao in my hand and looked behind me. Just hearing a sonorous sound, Jingxiao struck the tomb servant fiercely. The powerful Jingxiao did not cause any harm to the tomb servant. The tomb servant moved towards us unsteadily like a puppet. Their limbs cannot move, so they can only move as hard as they can. I didn't believe in evil, so I swung my sword again. There was another sonorous sound, and Jingxiao fell fiercely on the tomb servant. The tomb servant just staggered and did not suffer any damage. I took a breath and asked in disbelief, Tianqian, what on earth are these guys? Su Tianqian frowned slightly, with an extremely serious expression. She squeezed the secrets with both hands, stared at the tomb servants with her beautiful eyes, and then said word by word, if I am not wrong, these 8 tomb servants in front of me are the secrets of the secret law become. It has absorbed the dragon energy from Buman Mountain. It is not an evil thing in itself, so Jingxiao will not cause any harm to it. Jingxiao is the sword of the heart, the lightning strikes the wood, the essence of the sacred tree, and the essence and blood of the heavenly master. It itself is even the most sacred object of Yang, and no evil spirit can escape under the sky. But facing the tomb servant who absorbed the dragon energy, Jingxiao didn't seem that powerful. Su Tianqian protected me behind him and said, these 8 tomb servants are there to protect the main tomb chamber, so be careful. As soon as she finished speaking, the 8 tomb servants suddenly emitted a dazzling light. This bunch of golden light gathered together and then formed a golden array. The golden formation descended from the sky and enveloped me and Su Tianqian. Immediately afterwards, the 8 tomb servants disappeared in a flash. They are like ghosts and cannot be caught at all. Suddenly, a tomb servant suddenly appeared behind Su Tianqian. My expression hardened, I raised my hand and slashed at the tomb servant with Jingxiao. But just when Jingxiao was about to meet the tomb servant disappeared again. I quickly stopped, but I must not hurt Su Tianqian. In the magic circle, these tomb servants are extremely fast and are constantly attacking us. Even though Su Tianqian and I were extremely skilled, we were also very distressed. There is no way to continue like this. The tomb servants have no life and will not be exhausted. Su Tianqian and I gradually became a little powerless under the attack of the tomb servants. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanba. Chapter 999. Su Tianqian seemed to have lost her patience. She kneaded the formula with her hands and muttered something. She snatched Jingxiao from my hand. Borrow the sword and use it. Su Tianqian held Jingxiao in his hand, and immediately used a sword flower to attack in one direction of the magic circle. Su Tianqian is superior to me in both skill and magic. But I didn't expect that Su Tianxuan's swordsmanship was so powerful. Jingxiao was played to perfection in her hands. I even think that the real owner of Jingxiao is not me, but her. It's not right. I am her apprentice, so aren't my things hers? With Jingxiao in hand, Su Tianqian was invincible and knocked these tomb servants to the ground in less than a minute. However, even someone as powerful as Su Tianqian could not completely eliminate these tomb servants. Su Tianxuan's expression condensed, holding Jingxiao in hand, and stabbed an eye of the magic circle with a sword. It was as if her sword was piercing the glass, the magic circle shattered, and the golden light disappeared into the main tomb chamber in an instant. When I came to Su Tianqian, I couldn't help but say, "Tianqian, you are so awesome." Su Tianqian smiled slightly and said nothing. Instead, she focused her gaze on the dragon coffin. I looked in the direction she was looking at the dazzling dragon coffin. A bad premonition suddenly arose in my heart. As soon as this feeling appeared, it was confirmed. The lid of the dragon coffin began to shake crazily, as if there was a person pushing the coffin desperately. Immediately afterwards, endless blood spurted out and spread along the cracks in the coffin. I looked at the dragon coffin with a serious face. This dragon coffin gives people an extremely dangerous feeling. It seems that the owner lying in the dragon coffin is about to break out. I opened my mouth and asked Su Tianqian, "Tianqian." But after I opened my mouth, I realized something was wrong, because I couldn't make any sound, as if I had suddenly become mute. I tried several times to talk to Su Tianqian, but no matter what I did, I couldn't say a word. I patted Su Tianqian on the shoulder, and Su Tianqian turned around. I pointed to my mouth and hesitated for a long time, but couldn't make any sound. Su Tianxuan's beautiful eyebrows were raised. She stretched out her slender hands, held my face, and asked with some worry, "Xiao Su, you can't speak anymore?" I nodded quickly. "What is going on?" Ever since something happened to this dragon coffin, I couldn't make any sound. Su Tianqian lowered her head and pondered. She seemed to have thought of something, looked at the dragon coffin, and pulled me back. Seeing Su Tianqian like this, I vaguely guessed something. The owner in the dragon coffin, I'm afraid he's not one of the 9 evils. Every time I encounter the 9 evils, I will gain the corresponding abilities. No, I shouldn't say that I have gained them, I should say that I have regained them. Because the sky coffin was originally built by me. I also sealed the 9 evils inside. And now I have obviously lost my tongue consciousness. Without my tongue consciousness, not only can I not make sounds, but eating anything is like wax. I looked at Su Tianqian and opened my mouth. Su Tianqian knew what I wanted to say. Your guess is correct. The person lying in the dragon coffin is most likely one of the 9 evils. Su Tianxuan's words made me feel cold. I haven't solved this Jade Chang yet, and now another 9 evils appears. If these 2 evil stars join forces, it will be a devastating blow to me. At this moment, the lid of the dragon coffin was knocked over by a strong force. Sky Coffin. Author, Qingnian Wanba. Chapter 1000. I saw a man slowly sitting up from the dragon coffin. It was a middle-aged man, dressed in a dragon robe, with starry eyebrows and sword-like eyes. He was very handsome. His pupils were a strange red color, and it seemed as if he could steal your soul away just by looking at him. There was blood rolling around him, and he was sitting in the blood. The moment this man appeared in front of me, the general's power that had been dormant for a long time in my body suddenly became restless again. I looked at the man blankly. Could it be that he is the real general of one of the 4 ancestors of zombies? He turned out to be one of the 9 evil stars. Janya Chain is the evil star of the Earth Tribulation, so under the Earth Tribulation is the Earth and Sky. I have met 7 of the 9 evil stars, and Huo Kyubing is also one of the 9 evil stars. Huo Kyubing's strength must be those 3 after the 9 evil stars. The most powerful among the 9 evil stars are Kisha, Pajun and Greedy Wolf. I don't know which one Huo Kyubing is. There will definitely be a battle between me and him, and then I will let the evil star return to my life palace. But why didn't I gain any ability from him? I have a vague hunch that after the 9 evil star returns to the life palace, it may not be the end. There will be greater danger waiting for me later. Because I haven't figured out what role the sky coffin plays in my endless reincarnations. The general stood up slowly from the dragon coffin. He looked around, and finally set his sights on me. The corners of his mouth raised slightly, revealing a sneer. I didn't expect that we would meet again. The general said slowly. The corpse aura exuding from his body was extremely strong. I have never seen a zombie with such powerful corpse aura, not even Yinggo or Huashiu, I have never felt it. The general stepped out of the dragon coffin. Thanks to you, if you hadn't killed Jin Mao, I probably wouldn't be able to wake up now. The general in front of me is not a descendant, but the legendary zombie ancestor, the real general. Su Tianxian protected me behind him and stared at him closely. The general stretched his muscles and said, "It's time to get back my soul." As soon as the words fell, the general disappeared instantly. When he appeared again, he was already beside me. He suddenly stretched out his hand and stabbed towards my heart. My expression condensed, and I quickly stretched out my left hand and used the pure lotus mark on my palm. This pure lotus seal is the ability I regained from Janya Chain. As for the fire of karma, it belongs to Mission Gaizun. A hazy, holy white light enveloped me. When the general's hand touched the white light, he could no longer move forward. But I can clearly feel the pressure he puts on me. A sneer appeared at the corner of Zhang Chen's lips, and immediately afterwards, the corpse energy on his body suddenly increased, and the light emitted by the Jinglian mark was fading at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. Just when the Jinglian mark was about to expire, a beautiful shadow flashed in front of my eyes. Su Tianxian held Jingxiao in his hand and stabbed the general in the chest with a sword. The general still calmly resisted, but when Jingxiao touched his body, he frowned, and traces of black energy spread from the place where Jingxiao came into contact with him. The generals retreated one after another, looking at Jingxiao in Su Tianxian's hand with some disbelief. Su Tianxian stood with his hands behind his back, looked at the general coldly, and said, "Should you hand over the things yourself, or wait for me to do it?" She spoke in a very domineering tone and did not look down upon the general at all.